And the Satmar Rebbe writes in his writing that we should do it even at the danger of our life. He says, the Mesiras Nefesh, even if we're putting ourselves in danger, we should be informing the nations that the Zionism doesn't represent Judaism or the Jewish people who are true to Judaism. He writes that in his own book. He writes that Satmar Rebbe wrote that. That was the Rabbi Teitelbaum, who was chief rabbi of Palestine. He said that we should be going in the streets amongst the nations to inform them. And it happened, and Rabbi Beck is saying that, he is saying even with the Nazis, Rabbi Michal Ber Vastel did it. He went and he approached the Nazis secretly, and he approached them to save the Jews. He put his life in danger and he was almost killed. And we don't, God forbid, we're not going to this Nazi, this murderer, this anti-Semite, we're not going to him as friend. In other words, we don't become brothers with somebody who's a pure evil person. In a conceptual case where the person is a pure evil person, but the point is we're going to save, and that we do that, and we did that. Our history shows we did that, and our recent history of Michal Ber Weissmandel, a blessed memory. Weissmandel went and approached Eichmann and so forth to try to buy off the Jews. If you know the story about Hamas. I have to make a disclaimer that I met with the heads of Hamas, Ismail Khani and so forth, and I met with others. I was in Lebanon. I just came back from Lebanon just a month or two ago.
With Hezbollah?
When Hezbollah is part of the government, as you know, and they were closing. They gave the closing speech by a gathering of people from over 170 or 160 something countries. We had former ambassadors and so forth. They had like one of the leaders, and I've had it many times where they keep on saying we have nothing against the Jewish people. This doesn't get shown in the world, obviously, because the world doesn't report it, although it's open. It's a public gatherings, and they said we have nothing against the Jews. We have nothing against the Jewish people or Judaism. We have against the occupation. Now we're not, and I'm saying we're not condoning violence or anything like that, but we're stating clearly that their issue is not with Judaism or Jewish people. Their issue is occupation, and by our separating and trying to show them that it's not the Jewish people, both not around the world or in Palestine, not in the Holy Land. These aren't the Jews who are trying to take their homes away. So therefore, we're taking away the anger from the general populace, from the Jewish people. Because we're telling them, don't hold us your enemies. Don't consider the Jewish people, whether they're living in the Holy Land or they're living anywhere else, as the ones who are doing damage to your brothers and sisters or something. This is something it's a Zionism which is being confused with Judaism. So we have no compunctions or no problem with approaching all of these leaders who you mentioned. You mentioned Hamas. We don't consider them that they're enemies of the Jews. This is the Zionist label. Now there may be pure anti-Semites, where they are enemies of the Jewish people. We would still be approaching them. And I just want to clarify, because I don't want our answer that I'm saying that we would approach enemies of the Jewish people to mean that Hamas is the enemies of the Jewish people.